Hello guys, welcome back. So last week I gave my bias for the dollar index, and I told you guys that I was expecting some higher prices, and I told you guys that was here. We had this price action last week. This was last week candle. So I told you that this past week we're going to see price dig into this fair value gap. I'd like to see it dig into this fair value gap and move away from it to attack buy side. Of course, we saw price digging into this fair value gap, but I'm rejecting away from it. But I have not attacked this buy side liquidity on a weekly time frame yet, and this is still my draw on liquidity. So this week on a weekly time frame, I'm still expecting higher prices. For a daily time frame, still on the dollar index, we saw price drop down into this area. We saw price drop into this area. I'm going to go back to my 1 week time frame so that you see the weekly. You see this area. Make it visible. Okay, you see it on the daily time frame. So back to the daily time frame. This is that same fair value gap we saw on our weekly time frame. So we had price around here on Friday. So I was expecting price to dig into this fair value gap, which we did. At the same time, we dug into this daily fair value gap. We have this high, and then this one pass, and then this low. That's a fair value gap for a daily time frame. We saw price respecting it and trading away from it. So on a daily time frame, I'm still expecting bullish price movements, obviously to attack this buy side for Tuesday last week, and ultimately this buy side here for the weekly time frame. That's my bias for the dollar index. Now, contingency for the dollar index. If for any reason during the week we see any daily candle move down and close below this daily fair value gap, if we see any daily candle trade down, not just wick through it, but if we close below this fair value gap, then I would favor lower prices. But as far as we remain above this fair value gap on a daily time frame, we do not close below it. As far as we remain inside or above it, I'm favoring higher prices. Yeah, so this is how you trade each day on your charts, regardless of the weekly analysis. So I repeat, this week I'm favoring higher prices as far as we stay above this fair value gap. But if we trade down and we close on a daily time frame, this is our daily time frame. If we close below this fair value gap on a daily time frame, then I'll be favoring lower prices. However, generally I prefer higher prices. Euro dollar weekly time frame. Okay, so remember, what we see on the dollar index most of the time would expect the opposite price action on our weekly on other pairs like euro dollar. So for this, ignore this. This is something, a price action on daily time frame. So on our weekly time frame, we have the orange colored shaded areas. So last week we had our price action here, and I mentioned again that I would like to see euro trade up into this fair value gap on a weekly time frame and then move away from it to try to attack sell side. Yes, we traded into the fair value gap, we rejected, we moved away from it, but we have not started coming down yet. But still, I favor lower prices. I only said my bias will change if on the weekly time frame we close above this fair value gap. Remember, fair value gaps, they act as real support and resistance. Once we are closing below fair value gap, we favor lower prices. If we close above fair value gap, then we favor higher prices, although terms and conditions apply to this. Generally, this week I'll be expecting lower prices for euro dollar, but if we close above this weekly time frame for next week, then we might be expecting higher prices. But generally, gun to my head, I'll prefer lower prices. On a daily time frame for euro dollar, daily time frame, this is the weekly fair value gap. So last week we traded into it and rejected it. Saw price on Friday reading coming down on the daily time frame. We've not closed below the weekly fair value gap yet, but trading down. Still, because I'm bullish on dollar, I'll favor lower prices on euro dollar. For the contingency plan, during the week, worst case scenario, if we're going to go bullish on euro, I would like to see price trade into this daily fair value gap and they're rejecting away from it. But generally, we are already on discount on this price action. When I mean discount, I'm going to take my Fibonacci. This is the current price swing, so from this high to this low. So from this high to this low, we traded above 50%, so we're moving down. So I don't see why price should come back up again. We already traded into discount before coming down. So that's for euro dollar. For pound dollar, weekly time frame. Last week we also had this fair value gap here. I said I would like to see price trade into it and reject from it, and we saw that happening beautifully here. Although I was preferring lower prices, still I'm bearish on pound dollar. I'd expect price to read this low and then this low in the coming few weeks. For the contingency, if I see pound close above this weekly fair value gap, and then I'll expect this fair value gap to act as support to project price to the upside. But generally, I'll prefer lower prices. Daily time frame. Now this is the weekly fair value gap. We traded into it and we have seen price closing below the weekly fair value gap. If I go back to the weekly time frame, you'd see that slightly we've closed below the weekly fair value gap. So this coming week, I'll just expect price to open, trade up a bit, and then rally down. So back to the daily time frame. On a daily time frame, we only have this fair value gap here, this high and this low. So worst case scenario, price would go up, trade into this fair value gap, and then return back down. But generally, I would like to see price go down from here, since we've closed below the weekly time frame already. And just to confirm, we want to see if price got to discount premium from here rather. So on this price swing, price traded into premium before coming back down. So I will not expect price to go back up into premium again. So finally, for Aussie dollar. For Aussie dollar, I'll be expecting lower prices as well. We have an order block here. We saw price trading into it, and on the weekly time frame. So we closed around the midpoint of the order block. So this coming week, I would like to see price open, trade up a bit, and then come back down. And then on the daily time frame, we have this little fair value gap here. We traded into it slightly. This is the low and this is the high fair value gap. So this week I'd like to see lower prices since we are bullish on dollar. I hope you find this insightful. If you did, like the video, make a comment, and share what you've learned. And until I talk to you next time, I wish you good luck and good trading.